Michigan, go blue.
Go blue.
Number 5, Michigan at Rutgers, and this is the big controversy. Why has Michigan dropped a level or dropped a point, and Ohio State went up a point? I don't know. I can't explain it, but if Michigan beats Ohio State at the end of this month, that'll all change, I'm sure. This is the 9th meeting between Michigan and Rutgers. Michigan leads the series 7-1, and Michigan has won the last 7, which means, well, I'll get to that in a second, but Michigan is favored by 26, which, until we get to the Ohio State game, is the largest or widest spread. The most points given, favored by any team.
The largest absolute value number.
Yes.
For a game.
Now we have to think back to when Rutgers joined the Big Ten in 2014. That was Brady Hoke's last season. Michigan was 2-3 going into that game. I think the writing was on the wall for Hoke that Michigan had been, believe it or not, Michigan was in an upward trend with Rich Rod, even though Rich Rod gave Michigan their worst season ever. They still were in an upward trend because they kept winning more games each season, but they fired Rich Rod after 3 seasons. They brought in Hoke, and Hoke shot him to a big height of, 10 games that first season, and then went steadily down. And to where we get to the Rutgers game in his last season, which they lost, which was the very first time Michigan and Rutgers played. They lost, but Michigan hasn't lost to Rutgers since, thanks to Jim Harbaugh. They haven't lost. Oh, that was the other part too. Is they lost to Maryland in Hoke's first year too. Rutgers and Maryland joined the Big Ten the same year. Michigan lost to both of them, and they haven't lost to either of them since.
Thanks, Hoke.
Yeah. However, even though Michigan looks like this game at this point should be just a slam dunk, a home run, if you will, to mix my sports metaphors completely.
Top shelf.
This is a trap game, and this is the biggest of trap games because Rutgers has nothing to lose at all. If they win this game, it's celebrations all over the state of New Jersey. If they lose this game, people will probably not even know that they were playing. So, Mac, to use our favorite phrase, how does Michigan avoid getting app-stated again?
Oh, come on. App-stated?
Yes.
Do we need to give that any more credence by turning it into a verb?
We do.
Or adverb?
I'm going to mention it often because they should not have lost that game.
Well, duh. It was 15 years ago. Jeez. Everybody needs to calm down, eat some fruit or something.
Right here.
All right. Well, I'm just going to put it to you this way. This is not a trap game. Rutgers is not very good. Michigan's a lot better.
That's what makes it a trap game.
I see your point. Yeah, that's a good point. But it's not a trap game. Michigan's not going to lose. On my notes, though, I have the word red zone 3 times. So I'm just going to say that real quick. Red zone, red zone, red zone. And you know what? I'll say it 3 more times just to get my point across. Red zone, red zone, red zone.
I don't even know what that is or why it's necessary. When you can win games by going over it, why do you need to be in it?
You know, that's fine. You can go over it as long as like the ball ends up in the end zone, but then in the end zone you got a receiver and he catches it when the ball goes over the red zone. Okay? Does that make sense? That would be like a 21-yard passing touchdown.
Passing touchdown.
So that's fine. Go over the red zone. That's fine. But a lot of times.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I meant to say end zone. The red zone is fine. But you're saying that when they get to the red zone, they should then proceed to the end zone.
Yes.
but you don't need to if you can go over the end zone and still win the game. The end zone is overrated. I think Michigan has proven that. Aaron,
No, you're
carry
right.
on.
You're right. The end zone is overrated. I don't know why teams try and score touchdowns. So I'm just going to pretend that I have points to make. So I'm gonna make my points real quick. Field goals are fine in some circumstances. Apparently, to you, every circumstance, that's fine. But sometimes you have to finish drives in the end zone, because you get more points doing that. It's like double the field goal. It's great. Michigan is averaging almost 500 yards of offense a game right now, which is crazy considering who the coach is. They also average more yards rushing than they do passing, which is not crazy considering who the coach is. It also tells you where their priorities lie, and that's clearly not with the red zone, but that's fine. When you get into the red zone, though, and teams know that you want to just punch it in on the ground, they're going to start stacking the box. They're going to defend against the run, and you've got to have a plan B for that. Especially if you want to play teams or beat teams that score just as well as you can most of the time. I think Rutgers actually presents an interesting challenge in that way because they're actually not terrible against the run. And they may only, or wait a minute, hold on. And they only allow 17 more yards passing per game than Michigan does. So pretty similar passing defenses there. So not awful. Michigan has a chance here to figure out some red zone strategy against an okay defense. The problem is, well, and that's all due respect to Rutgers. The problem is with your silly little trap game theory is that Michigan has so much more talent. And when you say Rutgers has nothing to lose, the opposite side of that is that Rutgers has already lost everything. So why bother?
Sure. But that's why trap games become so dangerous, because if the other team has nothing to lose, they stop playing conservatively and they're just like, oh, who cares? Just go out there and do something. And that throws the other team off. And you end up doing some damage.
No, but they go out there, they play recklessly, they make mistakes. Michigan capitalizes on that. This game's going to end 78-0, just like 2016 did.
Speaking of the other side of the ball here,
that's not my official call.
Rutgers, we were cheering for Rutgers at the beginning of the season because they came on strong and it looked like they were going to have. Yeah, we were.
What?
We were happy with them.
All right.
They were doing something. It looked like they might actually achieve something.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But they fell apart and into multiple pieces. But they did beat Indiana, so there's that. I think at this point it's pretty clear, though, as we've said, Rutgers has reached a ceiling. If they do happen to catch Michigan off guard, maybe they score an extra touchdown. But I'm kind of with you. I don't think they'll actually do anything. I think Michigan's going to roll them over. But tell me about Rutgers.
You've never been more wrong in your entire life.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, so okay, the rebuild at Rutgers, because you're right, they had a good opening to the season. That's great for them. The rebuild, though, under Greg Schiano Part 2 is going to take quite some time this time, I think. It's not like they're awful per se. It's just that they can't finish games. Okay, take away the turnovers, and Rutgers is basically, or suddenly is the word I've got here. Suddenly they're back in the Iowa game, say, for instance. Good gracious me, this is a train wreck. Against they were back. They would have been back in the Iowa game had they not turned the ball over so many times. If they had not allowed Iowa's defense to score 2 touchdowns against them, they might have actually even won that game. Who knows? Against, and I've got a note here saying against somebody they were never exactly playing well, but at least, oh yeah, okay, that's what I was saying. So the following week, I think it was when they played Nebraska, or whenever they played Nebraska, they weren't exactly playing great in that game, but at least in that game, Nebraska couldn't move the ball until the second half. So Rutgers then, at that point, started turning the ball over. They turned the ball over 3 times and gave Nebraska, score after score on a scarlet platter at that point. Like that game shouldn't have been a loss. If they would just clean some things up, then they are suddenly in a much different position. But that's kind of the problem with some of these teams that are struggling, is that they're not playing fundamentally sound football. I talked about Purdue. We've been talking about Indiana. We've been talking about Michigan State. Michigan State's just not good all around, but they don't play fundamentally sound football either. That's a symptom of that. Rutgers is another one of those teams that's following this trend. They would beat better teams if they played more fundamentally sound football. And right now they're just not.
Yeah. I agree. So putting it through the team rivalry score predictor, top secret team rivalry score predictor. I actually think this one's going to be kind of low, but here we go. Michigan 38, Rutgers 0. I'm kind of interested that it came up with 38, although that goes along with the theory that Michigan doesn't necessarily like to run up the score. But I honestly think Michigan will score a lot more than that.
2016, Jabril Peppers just called. He wants to talk to you. Oh, wait, he can't talk. He's busy scoring another touchdown.
Another touchdown.
I'm calling Michigan 56-7.
Oh, you're giving them 7, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a cover my butt kind of move for the score thing that we're doing. That's all that is. I don't expect them to score any points. On the off chance they do, though.
Yep. Now, the bonus game here is maybe doesn't matter, but I just kind of threw it on there, is the Clemson at Notre Dame game. The reason I threw that on there is because if Notre Dame beats Clemson, then that switches, that works in Michigan's favor because Clemson is number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So if Notre Dame beats Clemson, that would knock Clemson down. But, and I forgot who I was listening to today. They were saying, don't even worry about that because Michigan's going to beat Ohio State. So anything you want to say with regards to the Clemson Notre Dame game?
Honestly, whoever that guy is, I would have said the same thing. I mean, you don't have to worry about this game if Michigan just wins out, because
that's true. Yeah.
12-0 Michigan, Big Ten champion, they're not missing the playoffs.
No, probably not.
Yeah.